of my heart. I love you. Don't let us part. I love you.
All right, so this is the second part of our family history.
This
starts in 1952 after Mom and Dad have gotten married, and
baby
pictures of me. I was adorable.
You were.
Somehow, probably, somebody professional came and took these of us.
We took your studio.
Oh, you took us to a studio?
Yeah.
In San Francisco. I was born in San Francisco on February 14th, 1952. At what hospital?
I'm not sure. Was it St. Francis? Was that?
No, the one up on the hill.
It's up on the hill in
St. Joseph, St. Mary.
It's in the Haight area.
Okay, somewhere. I was born somewhere.
It's now an older people's home.
There you go. And this is Gail and Shelley holding me.
Yeah, we had in the sunroom.
In our San Francisco home.
They had their little English suits on from Highness.
Look at those little hats.
And the hats, and their Mary Janes, the whole thing. All dressed up.
Excited to have me join the family, or not too excited?
Oh, they thought you were
excited.
great. You were like a doll to play with.
Yeah, and Shelley used to get up in the morning and she'd stick a bottle in your mouth.
Okay, then this
was over at
Walnut Creek and
at Uncle Malloy and Aunt Laura Malloy's home, and we had gone over for dinner, and they were always very good and always enjoyed having us around.
And it looks like we took your father.
Well, that's when
and your mother
and Dad had come out from South Dakota
and your mother.
for your baptism.
Baptism after your baptism.
And that same time we went over there at a great time.
Now let's see. So we've got Uncle Phil
Cousin Phil.
Cousin Phil, Cousin Phil, and then Mom holding me, and then Grandma Martin, and Grandpa Martin, and that looks like Aunt Laura, who's
mother's
sisters,
Grandma
Martin's sister. Mm-hmm. And this was Uncle
Malloy.
Malloy.
His name was Malloy Malloyan.
Malloy, okay.
And their oldest daughter.
Oh, oldest daughter? Okay.
Yes.
And then this must be
Gail.
Oh, that's Gail. And
Gail and Shelley.
That didn't look so much like Gail. I thought maybe that was somebody else's child.
Shelley. And this is John Muir.
Okay, so they must have come. John and Jane must have come to visit us.
What we did, we went to Tahoe. And John and Jane decided they wanted to come over and see San Francisco. So I drove them back from Tahoe, and I had a little bit of work to do. And while I was working, they looked around. And this was out in front of the home on 2211 16th Avenue. And that tree is in front
Mrs. Becker's
monkey tree. Right. Mrs. Becker was our next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Monkey tree.
And they were really lovely people.
Yeah, took good care of me, I know. And he was married to Aunt Jane, your sister.
That's right.
And they had 3 children.
3 children. Susan, Jack, and David. Jack was the older, Susan was the middle one, and David was the youngest. Okay. And they lived, at that time, they lived in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Okay. And here we are with Grandma and Grandpa. They, again, on their visit, that same visit when we went.
When they came out for your baptism.
Right.
And in front of the house, on 2211 16th Avenue.
Gail and Shelley had their cowboy outfits on. Cowgirl.
Cowgirl.
They were cowgirls.
Too cute.
Cute.
And this is Shelley holding
holding me. It looks like we're in Lake Tahoe, or no, maybe at his friend's house or something.
I can't recognize that.
Well, it says Tahoe.
Tahoe. We're in Tahoe.
Oh, yeah.
We took you to Tahoe.
When I was still a baby.
Were you a baby?
Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah. So we went with Aunt Jane and Uncle John.
Do you remember the name of the people that lived down the street from us in San Francisco? And they had a cabin up there.
I don't recall their name now.
But that's what we went to visit.
We went. Well, we didn't go to visit them. They were all up there at the same time.
We were all up there at the same time, and
This is
Jane
at
and Johnny came
Meeks
out.
Bay.
And every night we would feed you early, and then get a babysitter, and we would take off and go to the north end to the
Gamble.
casinos
Yeah.
to gamble.
And did you notice you were in a playpen
Mm-hmm.
at the beach? We had to cover you up. You were so little, so you the sun
And
would
Tahoe
burn you.
was a very, very lovely lake
Yeah.
and cold, beautiful and cold.
Deep and cold. Okay, so this is now yet another trip
This
someplace.
was
This
in the
one is
winter
in the
time.
snow.
We decided to go up to the snow. We went up to Donner Pass, and you remember we stayed in that lodge one
Mhm.
night, and we got out the next morning. Went over to do a little bit of it was a little toboggan, and we went and we pulled you around in the snow. And Donner's was a historical spot when the settlers came over on the way to
Right.
California years ago.
The Donner Pass.
The Donner Pass.
Right.
We took you down to Granny and Sally Grandstrom's down in Los Altos to visit all the time. Jack's friend, the flyer.
Uh-huh. So this must
Granny
be their
Grandstrom,
house.
their house.
Look at you in a little
You were
vest
just-
too.
And they had two girls.
Cool. It looks like a trip to
Oh, this was
downtown San Francisco
Downtown,
or someplace in
through
San
stroller.
Francisco.
Stolen.
Right.
stroller.
Your mother
dressed
would
in
look
a
very
suit.
dapper there.
Look at her dressed in her suit.
Suit.
Yeah.
We all wore suits.
And gloves.
Oh,
Yeah.
you wore gloves. And the other girls in their coats.
Really, look at them.
Taking you, Shelley's covering your
Shelley's
face.
Jill's expressing herself to me. Be quiet, be quiet.
There you're out in the sun deck, the back of
In
16th
the back
Avenue.
of Ward.
In the
Back of Ward, you were out in the sun deck. The sunshine in your little chair.
Mm,
That's a cute picture.
that's a good picture. I like
And
this
there
one.
you are
There you are
again in
again.
your rocking chair. That was your favorite rocking chair.
That's great.
You must have been about a year, a little over a year old at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are again at Granny and Granny Grandstrom's, showing you off to
In
the
Los Altos.
Los Altos. This is in the front steps of our house in San
San
Francisco.
Francisco.
Mhm.
All dressed up. You're all dressed up in your little dress.
And here I am opening the car door.
Mhm.
We're getting
That
ready
was
to go
the
somewhere.
Hillman Minx.
Hillman.
It was
Little
green.
Hillman Minx coat.
Green.
No, blue.
Oh,
Blue.
blue.
Light blue. And had a cloth top.
And I
Convertible.
think if you look carefully, Budgie's on your head.
Yeah, but his name wasn't Budgie. His name was Petey.
But I mean, he was a budgie.
He was a budgie. Yeah, he was a
Petey,
parakeet.
he sat and you ate some cereal, and then he'd reach over and take a bite.
And
two of you.
he used to sit on the bowl, just the opposite side of the bowl.
And the two of you would.
Eat the cereal.
What
Yeah.
you don't, what it doesn't show there is you would one time you picked up the bowl after you were half finished
Head.
and put it on your head.
You had cereal all over.
Well, and I also remember that Mrs. Becker had a dog,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I would go over to her house, and I can remember giving the dog a dog biscuit and then eating one
Eating one
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
And giving the dog a dog biscuit and eating one myself.
Well, you used to go over there, and in the evening, and the Beckers would have a beer, and they'd set the beer cans down, and you'd
Empty
go
the-
around empty the beer
We
can.
weren't watching you.
Then one night, we never realized, but you were actually pixelated. You were standing on your head. You were doing all kinds of tricks.
Here you've been emptying the glasses,
You'd been
just a
emptying the
dribble
beer
down in the
cans.
glass, and we didn't know, didn't
And
pay
we didn't
attention.
know it.
It
She
drank-
also would read me these great stories.
Stories.
My favorite book was this golden book that was like all about a platypus. I remember that
Oh,
the
she
very
read
best.
to you all the time. You were fun for her because she didn't have any grandchildren. You were like her little granddaughter. There, you and Gail Shelley with your mommy haircuts,
Yeah,
but yours were long. It wasn't cut. You had curls.
these were homemade haircuts.
Homemade
Home
hair,
done, I mean.
home done haircuts.
Home done. At the home barber.
And there you are with your purse, two purses. You didn't want one, you wanted two, and your little skirt and everything, all dolled up. Going someplace, all ready to go.
So this is Grandma and Grandpa Martin
Yeah.
outside their house
In
in
Tripp,
Tripp, South
Tripp,
Dakota.
South Dakota.
I remember this house. We went to visit, and then this is my grandma
Shepherd.
Grandma
Shepherd
Grandpa Shepherd
and
when
Grandpa Shepherd.
they came up to Trip to visit
Well, on Grandma and Grandpa Martin's 40th
40th
wedding
anniversary,
anniversary.
and they stayed in a motel, and you went over. The girls went over to visit.
Yeah, I'm
There.
not in this picture. It's just
No.
Gail and
No,
Shelley
you
on
were with
Grandma's lap.
us. You were
Yeah.
with us. You stayed with us.
And then here we are. We must have gone. Oh, I think we. This looks like you said this
Santa
was Santa
Cruz.
Cruz.
Went down to Santa
Yeah.
Cruz with you. You put the flippers on.
Oh, I know. I remember another thing. I remember at some point on one of these trips that we went. Maybe it's a little bit later when we went to Tahoe. I was in one of those inner tubes and I flipped over and was upside down
Oh yeah,
in
That's
the inner
right.
tube.
yeah, you
we
were.
did.
Only my
we-
feet.
Up.
we
Your
came
feet up,
running
your head down.
because we were really frightened.
I bet.
You would walk right out in the water, no fear at
No
all.
fear.
I'm
And
chasing
this
the
is-
ducks.
Well,
This is in outside the farm that used to belong to my grandma and Grandma Martin and Uncle Matt. And at one time, we actually lived out there when I was
little
in the
boy.
8th grade in freshman in high school. And we went out to show you what the farm and where I had lived at one time.
See the chickens
And the
Ducks.
ducks.
Yeah,
The ducks.
and you were having a big time with the chicken and the ducks.
That's you and Shelley
walking around someplace.
walking around at home,
At
probably
home,
out
yeah.
the front yard.
This looks like when Shelley must have gotten her first communion, I would say.
First communion. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got all dressed
Look
up,
at
went to
you.
the first
at
communion.
this
Oh,
outfit.
my.
Saint Cecilia.
St. Cecilia's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saint Cecilia in San
Yeah.
Francisco.
Cisco, yeah. This was our house.
House.
This is a bit better view of our whole house.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks the same.
Still there, still standing.
Still standing, still looks
Might
the
be a
same.
different color now.
Yeah, it might be a different color.
That's out
That's
the back
in
of
the
That's
back of
Ward.
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 Back of Ward. I
With
want to
my-
go play.
With my doll
Naked
that
doll. Naked doll.
I'm clutching by the neck.
And then see the
It's the St. Francis.
Saint Francis.
On
We
the
still
back
have that.
fence.
We still have that hanging in on our porch.
49 years later.
Yeah.
And look at that hat on Dad. He wore hats all the time.
Yeah, and that suit on you.
Yeah.
This must have been our kitchen.
That
It
was in the
was?
kitchen, your high chair, eating, which you did a lot of.
Right.
There's Grandma and
I
Grandpa.
mean, I never had any trouble eating. Wasn't it?
No.
There's Grandma and Grandpa. They came to visit us.
And overlooking Alcatraz, they were up on
Yeah.
Coit.
We took them for a ride.
Up near
That
Coit
was
Tower.
the same time during your baptismal.
This was during the baptism.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, so this is a little bit earlier, actually.
So it was windy up there. She had her coat on, her hat on.
Yeah.
And Grandma and Grandpa.
And Grandma died when she was
Grandma died at 83.
83, and Grandpa died when he was,
Just before he was 85.
just before he was 85.
Yeah.
So
But they
how
were
much
50
older than each other were they?
Grandpa was 15 years older than Grandma Martin.
There we go.
He was born in 1876, and Grandma Martin was born in 1889.
Okay. You're there at the train station.
At the train
It's
station.
Oakland.
Yeah, over in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
Did they take the train to San
They
Francisco?
took the train
they
out.
took the train
Mhm.
out from South Dakota.
Cool. There's Grandpa sitting on the.
Well, overlooking Alcatraz, you know, it's up there in the Coit Park. And the out train station, getting ready to take off.
With
And
Daddy.
her luggage. There's
Daddy and
Grandpa.
Grandpa at the same
Same time.
overlook.
Dad had hair then.
Look at that. A little
He had
kind of
hair.
little pompadour
Yeah, he
thing
did.
going on there a
He-
little bit too.
Had a little bit of a.
Just
In
enough
the wind.
in the wind.
The wind caught it.
And there's Grandpa Shepherd.
This is Grandpa Shepherd. And he died when he was how old?
60. Wait a minute.
He
He
died
was
in
born in 1885 and died
50
in
and 54,
1954.
69.
He was 69.
So he wasn't very old.
No, he wasn't. He had cancer of the breast and then he had the cancer spread.
So he only died a few years after I was
Yeah,
born.
see, yeah, I know. We went back. Took
You-
you,
you-
back
You went back with your mother to the
in
funeral.
1954. You went back to the funeral. You were just a baby.
Huh.
He died in what? In August
August.
24th. So we went back, you and I.
And we had a cat.
We had a cat. Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
That's a good picture.
But that's definitely a picture of me. I remember that little shirt.
Yeah, the shirt. Okay.
Okay, let's see what we have next here. 37. Must be these. We still have a battery up there on that camera. Okay, the famous Flying Red Horse.
And the clean restrooms, mobile oil.
That was the horse that when we would build a service station and open it for business. In order to help attract people, we used to pull this horse, and then we had a little plastic token. And you put the token in the slot, and you'd get to ride the horse. And this, I think, was taken in. We had some very good friends who was a dealer. His name was Bob Anders, and I think this was taken right next to Bob Anders' service station. And I would, from the looks of things, this would have been back about 1950, 53, or early 54.
54, yeah, I'd say.
54,
I look to be about 2 years old.
It's a great picture.
I think we go back here a little teeny bit because I look a little bit younger here, but maybe not.
You're about the same age.
Yeah, this is outside in San Francisco playing with my doll. And you're on your, oh, this must be when we were
Getting ready to
Getting
grandma
ready
and grandpa to
take,
the
to that train station.
dad. You're all dressed. You had your warm clothes on because it was cold. Little red
Right. My doll.
playing
that
with
naked
grandpa's hat. You always had naked doll. You never left its clothes on. There
Out
you
in the
are,
backyard.
out by St. Francis, playing around the backyard.
Oh, and then there's my aunt,
She came
Laura.
to visit, Aunt Laura.
who came to
You know
visit.
when that is, I think because that had to be 1955, when we were just before we were moving to.
That's right.
to
Because
La Mirada.
Disneyland had just
Yeah, and
opened
then I had
too.
and Disneyland had opened, and Laura drove down to Los Angeles with me, and I arranged for her to stay in a hotel, and then the next day she took the bus down to
She
Disneyland.
went to Disneyland.
And Disneyland had just opened.
Just opened.
She got there and almost the day after.
Wow, the
Mhm.
opening of Disneyland. Here
There
we
you-
are in the front. I'm itching my rear end, it looks like. Or
You're
Scratching your leg.
you're scratching my leg or
the view
doing
of
something.
the house across the street.
Something.
Those are the people that gave us the olives. They had an olive,
Was that the Hawhees?
no,
That was-
olive ranch up near Santa Rosa, someplace up around there.
Out in what was then the backcountry.
Yeah, was definitely.
Not anymore.
There you are, just about 1954.
Look at that car.
Yeah,
We still then had that Hillman Manx, right?
that's right.
We still had it, but they're Gail and that
Gail and I standing
that
outside.
hat we bought sometime when we took it to Grand Canyon down to Indian country. She found that hat to buy, a souvenir hat.
Here I am practicing my
There
first
you
Your
are.
Hawaiian
first
experience.
Hula, look
Hula,
at
doing
with
the
a
hula.
with a ukulele, no less.
Yeah, yeah.
And your
That's
parasol, I don't know what that was for.
And my hula skirt.
You were back in the sunroom. That's the room you picked the wallpaper off of when you were a baby.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Great. Oh, and here we are at Christmas.
yeah.
And who's this sitting back here?
That's
Do you
Mr.
know?
Becker.
Oh, Mr.
Mr.
Becker.
Becker.
Oh, yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Becker. I recognize
There
him
the
now.
kids had their Christmas pajamas on.
Right.
That was a
Hard to say if we were. It looks like we
16th
might have
Avenue.
already had Santa come here.
Yeah.
Looks like he's already been here.
That's not the year that we had all the postcard. I mean, the Christmas
Oh, I
cards on
can't
the
tell.
wall.
I don't think so.
I
I
don't
don't
think so.
know.
'Cause they,
Oh,
Yes,
yes,
it
you're there.
was. There they are.
That's
The termites
the
ate
termites ate, and we
Some of
had
the
to have
studs.
the wall torn, or the studs in the wall torn out. So while we were waiting to get the work done, your mother hung a big piece of paper up,
paper up,
and then she hung all it. She
and
painted
I
the
painted a
Christmas
Christmas
tree,
tree. I
and then she
painted a
hung up
Christmas
all the
tree,
cards.
and then hung up the Christmas cards to cover that big hole. And it was in the winter, and it
Yeah.
was cold.
It was cold.
We had
That's
to block
great.
it out with a big piece of canvas.
That's great.
And I made that tree, drew that tree,
And put up the
and
Christmas
glued
cards.
those up to it.
And then she
Okay.
hung the Christmas cards.
That's great. Here we are in the backyard.
Backyard again.
Our cute little outfits.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah, you were must have been about a year and a half, 2 years old at that time, and the girls were
about
5.
3. You're about almost 3. You were 3 then.
Where's Lucy?
Between 2 and
Oh.
3.
Shelley. Must
well,
be getting a
I had Girl Scouts.
right.
I had a Cub Scout. See, I got that. Oh, I hated that uniform. The girl
It's
said,
very
"Mom, you have to
attractive
wear
on you."
that thing," and I said, "Well, he told me at headquarters I had to wear it, so I had to wear the hat, the whole thing."
Is it okay, Gabe?
Yeah.
It's still on and recording?
It's green record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, that's in her outfit. And this
Mom,
is
it just
Christmas.
recorded that what you said.
Okay.
It's
Does that show all
there. We
the?
bought the little. Johnny made those
Johnny
Oh,
was a
curlers.
postman,
Right.
and he used to
made
come by
those.
and help out around, do
He made
things,
things for you children too.
and he
See
made
the
some.
Santa thing up here,
Right.
the sleigh and the reindeer. He
They
made
were made
all
out
those.
of wood. They were
Yeah.
it was a
All
wood
wood.
Santa
Uh-huh.
and wood reindeers and little wood carolers.
Mhm. See, and I had to put lights all around the windows like Nestor does for you.
And this
It's John
was
and
John
Jane.
and Jane that when they were visiting.
And
Yeah,
there
Jane
we
Muir.
had that. We
And
had
we've
the
got a
Ford.
different car now.
We had the Ford pinch, the
Oh yeah,
pinchback.
we got I had the little car,
And I had
you
the
had the
Station wagon like
Kind of a
Ford
station wagon.
Huh?
And there you are up at
Clearly.
Clear Lake.
We were up
With
vis-
the little
Pigtails.
did your hair. Pigtails.
Yeah.
The boys always pulled them.
pigtails.
They used to pull them.
we went up
Yeah, like our
to
cousins
visit
used to
have.
Aunt Laura and Uncle Malloy and the girls.
We went to Clear Lake one summer.
These are all pictures from Clear Lake.
Yeah, Clear Lake.
Those are cute.
Those cute. You wore your hair, and the boys used to like to pull them. You were just about 3.
My first fishing experience.
Fish out on the pier,
Somebody caught some fish. I don't know if it was me necessarily.
but you wanted to hold the fish.
Right.
So there they are. They came to visit us.
So who do we have here? We have me, followed by Dad.
And Grandma.
No,
No, that's
this is
Aunt Laura.
Aunt
Is
Laura.
that Aunt Laura? I
This
mean.
is Phil. Then comes Gail. Looks like.
Yeah.
And then who are these two?
That's Carol,
Carol and her friend.
A
a
friend.
friend of hers.
And this
Shelley.
could be Shelley. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
The
Shelley.
bathing
And
cap.
that's Hillman
Hillman
Mix.
Mix.
There you go. That's how we got up there
Oh,
in
that
style.
fancy car.
In style. Here we all are outside.
There, your mom and the three good girls, Gail, Shelley, and you, on the beach at Clear Lake. Same thing again.
Everyone again. Yep. Here we are swimming
In the inner tube.
with the bathing cap on,
Oh, sure. You had a bathing.
playing in the sand. They're styling a one piece there. And Dad and me doing something in the sand. Look at this little outfit.
You went to a mobile oil picnic across the bay, across from San Francisco, and went to park across there someplace. I'm not sure.
It was called Barneson Park.
Barneson Park, and we took you along.
Dressed up.
Yeah.
This is back at the beach. Look at that
At
That's
Tahoe,
Tahoe.
that dude.
There's
Lake Tahoe.
Dad. Lake Tahoe.
The dude.
sitting there on the beach.
on the
That was a
beach.
lovely spot to go to.
It was fun.
Great place to visit.
No,
Meeks-
we water
Meeks
skied. We
Bay.
did everything.
Yeah.
up
Yeah,
there.
Meeks Bay.
Meeks Bay.
We had a lot of fun.
And then who are these people outside
Idaho.
the cabin?
We went to Idaho.
We went to Idaho.
This looks
Lake
like
McCall. That's Aunt Ada.
Ada, right? Aunt Ada,
Ada. It's my mother,
your mother, followed by me and Jack,
Jack, and
and
that's Nellie,
Nellie,
and this is Margaret,
Margaret.
Aunt Margaret.
So these are all your
Aunts.
your aunts
My-
and
my
your
mother's
mother's
sisters. Her mother's
sisters.
She was one of 7. She was the oldest one of 7.
No, now we've gone back up to the snow country, and we think this is Tahoe. Another trip to the snow.
Well, I think this is the trip that we went up with Bob Anders.
Bob Andrew,
And
Bob
Bob
Maurice
used to
Sanders.
Tease you all the
Would
time.
make you cry.
Yeah,
Oh, great!
good guy, but he just was.
He used
He
to
liked
love
you, and that
He
was
wanted,
his way.
that's the way he showed affection. He liked
Yeah.
to tease,
It's
and
like-
you'd get upset.
I remember my cousin Jack liked to tease me too.
Yeah, there's a horse
There's a
again.
flying red horse.
On that flying red horse in some
some
From
other
station
service
opening.
station. Yeah.
Station opening, and there's your
There's
father.
my father, my dapper father.
That was taken at a going away get together for me when I was transferred from San Francisco
To Los
to
Angeles.
Los Angeles. And then the days when
Look
I
at the
worked for
hat.
General
The
Petroleum.
cap he had on. There's something on his head. I don't know what.
Yeah, well, what it was is a portion of a hat from a mobile truck driver's hat.
Right, they made you all sorts of funny gifts, obviously.
Yeah,
Here's another Christmas, but now we've
This
This is in La
we've
Mirada.
moved to La Mirada,
on White Rock.
and we're living there now.
We got
Right,
there
it was
right
13.
before Christmas.
And I'm now in
55.
the, I'm in,
You were in kindergarten, weren't you?
not quite, I'm about,
Well, in 1954, you were 3.5 years old.
yeah, so
Or 1955. So you were
three,
just 4 years old.
yeah, 4 years old.
We moved in December of '55, so that would have made you 4 years
Oh.
old.
How long is it supposed to be?
I don't know, sweetheart.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Okay.
Kathy Lamb came to our front door and said, I heard you had some girls. I have a brother just right for your little girl, too. She wanted to make sure we had somebody for her to play with.
Greg
Greg,
Greg Lamb.
Lamb with an
Lamb.
older brother Mike and an older sister Kathy.
Kathy, yes.
The Lambs.
Yeah. And this is when I still cut your hair. Everyone, the girls laugh. Oh, Gail was going to St. John of God. Shelley was too. And you were just getting ready to start the other school there, the new one. You didn't go into to Norwalk to the Catholic school.
No, I was at
you
a
went to the
kindergarten.
local Catholic school.
Yeah, kindergarten. Then let's see, it's another
It's La
Christmas
Mirada.
in La Mirada with Shelley and Gail and I. This was a fun house. We had like a big creek behind it, and we used to
Mhm.
play in the creek.
You have
and
67 minutes left.
catch pollywogs
Pollywogs,
and do run around and make forts and
ride bicycles. You were
Yeah.
free to ride all over the place. There you are too in La Mirada. And
Outside
you're
the-
cowboys. Did you
right.
see the guns?
No, those aren't guns. That's a sweatshirt. But coming up here soon is me with
Oh,
my
you were
guns.
crazy about guns, little cap gun type of things.
And here was another visit over to or did they come to our house and visit?
No, that's
And we
over
went
there.
there to their house.
We went back up to their house.
Yeah,
So let's see. Sitting in the chair on the left is
Uncle Mo-
Uncle Malloy.
Uncle Mo-
Uncle
Malloy.
Malloy.
that looks like Gail, doesn't it?
Kind of looks like Gail.
I should put my glasses on.
Could be. Hard
Yeah,
to
I
say.
think
in
it
that
is
one.
Gail.
Then I'm sitting on the hearth,
Yeah.
and Uncle Phil is behind
Behind
me.
me.
Couldn't be.
And Charlotte and one of hers.
Yeah,
And her husband,
right.
Ralph Fowler.
Ralph Fowler. And Aunt Laura
and
and
Jack.
Daddy.
We went over there quite a bit. Over their house. He was always inviting us over.
Okay, well here now I am being a cowgirl.
You were a cowgirl and you had your
That's-
guns and your skirt,
and my
And
dog.
Boots.
we brought the
boots.
little Cora people down,
The choir, right.
choir down from
Right.
San Francisco, and it's
Right.
out in
We
front of
brought
the
it,
house in La Mirada.
Jenny
Right.
made all those. And there's Gail at some kind of a getting dressed up for some kind of a school function.
Right, and here I have my gun in my hand.
Yeah, you're playing.
And another
That's a very good picture of the three of you.
beautiful family photo. Look at
With
us.
the
That's
mommy haircuts.
probably as nice a picture of Shelley as
And
I've
this
ever
is the
seen.
little blue dress that we bought when we were in the
Grand Canyon,
Grand
wasn't
We went to Grand Canyon. We bought that in the Indian country
That's great. And another family photo.
about the same time.
That's a nice photo.
Yeah,
I like
that's
that.
very-
That's a nice photo. Somebody did a nice
I think
job.
somebody came to the house and took pictures of us.
I'll show you in a minute, Gabe.
And this is the Indians.
This is on our trip
Trading
to.
post-
This is on a
trading
trip
post.
to Grand Canyon.
Grand
Mhm.
Canyon. We
Or
went.
Cameron.
We stayed at. You remember we stayed in a tent, and it stormed that night, and we really hadn't prepared ourselves, and it got all wet, and we went in and into a lodge and stayed in a lodge. Well, everything dried out. Then we took off and the next day or day after and drove around to the north side of the lake or of the canyon. And on the way around the canyon, we ran into this Indian settlement.
So here we are. Mother's biggest concern for me, as I recall, is that I was going to fall over the
off.
edge.
Well, a lot of
Well, you'd
cases,
walk out to the edge.
walk
and you,
right up to the edge, and there were no walls on a lot of it. We went to Bryce and Zion
Right.
also. Went to
So
we
this
went,
could
we went
be-
around to the
Right.
north end.
This is Zion.
We went around to the north end of
north end of the lake.
Yeah, so you
North
can
end of the
see
canyon.
here, there's no,
No
rails.
No rail. There is now, but you'd walk right up there and have to hold you with a nape your neck. You keep you from falling over. You were not a bit afraid.
and this looks like it might be at Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
It's
Hoover
Hoover
Dam.
Dam.
We
Mhm.
went to see Hoover Dam.
We went down to see it, and it was quite an interesting adventure.
There we are back,
Back
in
at the La Mirada, back at Christmas time.
Christmas time.
And Grandpa and Grandma must have come to visit us
They
yet
did,
again to
Yeah,
see
they
our
did.
new house in La Mirada.
Came out. And what
And this is
was this your?
Eileen too.
Oh, and Eileen, Aunt Eileen.
Eileen Kimball.
Kimball,
Very
right.
nice gal. She came over from Manhattan Beach to see the parents, and I had my dress on that I also blue dress I also
Right,
bought
that you
Remember
got
that.
in the Indian
Indian
country.
country.
Now, Aunt Eileen was your cousin.
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 She
Her
was
name
a-
was Eileen Sleesman.
She was a
Right.
Sleesman.
She was one of the Sleesmans
One of the Sleesmans, yes.
This is in the house in La
in La
Mirada.
Mirada.
It's a cute
Let's see,
little
it
home.
says on the side the year.
It's a year,
Yeah, 1956.
1956.
Yeah, you were
4 years old.
4 years old
And there
That's
we
Grandma
are
and
again,
Grandpa
sitting in
Martin.
the
Sitting
dining
at the
room.
at the same
Table.
time.
Red windows all across.
Yeah, they
Back in
came
the
out.
house.
They came out to visit us
There they are on our sofa.
Mhm.
in 1956.
Okay, so here we are in La Mirada. I'm learning to play the
Yeah,
piano.
we were trying to figure out where that
In the
was.
ba-
and that
we
was
put
in
it
La Mirada.
in
Yeah.
the back, one of the back bedrooms. We put
Yeah.
that.
Right.
That's where we kept the bird too. The bird was back there. We had a bird and a cat.
Here we are, Gail and Shelley and I and
At
Mom
Christmas.
at yet another
Yeah,
Christmas
look at the
in
date,
December 1957.
1957.
So I was 5 this year.
And this was when Gail had a graduation from the 8th grade, St. John of God.
Uh-huh. And who was this?
This
do we
is a
think?
boy that swam on the swim team with him, and his parents were military and had given him a gold ring, and he was going to throw it away. And he gave it to Gail, and then I gave it to you,
And I made it into a
Ring.
wedding ring.
wedding ring. So
Right.
that's where he's the boy, nice boy. He used to ride with
La
us all the
Mirada
time.
again.
Yeah, La
It's
Mirada
La
at
Mirada.
Christmas again when I was 5.
And Gail's graduation
Gail.
dress
And she was graduating.
in the 8th
From
grade,
the 8th grade.
and you were in a school play.
Right, I was I was 6. I was in kindergarten and I played the Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary. Was that what you were supposed to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was the Virgin Mary, I remember that. This is Shelley. She must have been just duded up to go someplace. Look at
Yeah,
her
she had a brown dress on that day.
little glasses.
Yeah.
And then here I am again, the
Yeah, the
Virgin
same-
Mary with
yeah,
my
Virgin Mary.
Blessed Mother.
Oh,
Excuse me.
you were the Blessed Mother.
Mother, not the Virgin Mary. Blessed Mother, because I had baby Jesus with me.
Well, you're the same.
I
Who's
know,
baby
but
Jesus?
And there's your
then
Your
here I
favorite
am with
friend,
my
There's your
favorite
friend,
friend, Greg.
Oh,
Greg
you
Lamb.
and Greg were together all the time. Your favorite friend, Greg.
This is at their house because they had a magnolia tree
Yeah.
in the back
And that's
That's-
out on their patio.
on
That's
their
it, that's
patio.
at the land house
If I
in La
wasn't
Mirada.
careful, you used to beat him up if you
Yeah.
did if he did something you didn't like.
I do
And there you
recall.
are. You're all dutied up there.
However, at some one of these points in my life, I do remember running into somebody's baseball bat by accident, getting
Yeah, you
clubbed
did.
on the side of the head.
Head. There, it was kind of cold that day, so you were all bundled up.
This must be my school picture.
School picture.
And here we are at Crater Lake. Is what I'm guessing. Does that seem right?
Yes, because you were considerably older than it looks like Crater Lake.
Oh no, Grand Canyon,
Grand
Bryce and
Canyon,
Zion.
Bryce and Zion.
Must have gone again. You think?
Well, that's the time that we've been talking about when we
I
went up.
think it
But
belongs with
we
the other
borrowed
pictures.
the camping gear from Koosman's, and we stayed
We
in the
camped.
tent. And
Now,
then-
one of the times we went someplace and we We were in a cabin, and the tree blew up next to us.
Oh, that's the trip.
That's this trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I remember
Well,
this one.
because you
Well,
remember,
we were in the tent and it blew up.
Oh, I
so
see.
then we had to take everything and get a cabin to
because
dry
everything
out.
got soaked.
Scared us half
we
to
were
death.
putting it up at night, and I didn't get everything in shape the way it should have been. And we
We
all
came-
got
we
soaked.
came
Is that a
in
nice
at-
way of saying it all sort of fell down on
Do you
us?
remember we came in at night too one time when we were hunting for the bathroom, hunted all over, walked all over, and the next morning we got up and it was right next to
Right.
our tent. They brought an elephant to La Mirada Shopping Center. So Libby and I went down to see it. And she says, you know, I can't tell the difference between you and the elephant.
Oh no, Libby, cruel.
She told me I was as big as hell. There you are,
There
cowgirl
I am, the
again.
cowgirl.
Cowgirl, you
Oh,
like that.
jeans. And the Blessed Mother once
you were
again.
again. You were so
Blessed
proud of
Mother.
that.
And here's
And that's my mother.
yes, you with your mother.
She came to visit. She spent most of her time. She would go to Long Beach, though. She would come to visit, and she stayed a couple of days, but she'd go to Long Beach then. She liked to go over there.
This was my Stella Morris Academy grade 2. Now, this must be out of
In La
place
Jolla.
though, because this is La Jolla.
Yeah, this is La
So
Jolla.
we've skipped ahead just a wee bit here because this was my second grade in La Jolla, and sitting in the very, very front is my friend Connie Dubes
Connie
with the
Dubes.
biggest smile right in the middle,
Yes,
and
cute
the
girl.
blonde hair. And
Where's
one
Missy?
away from her was Bridget Griffin. And I can't quite remember what this girl's name was, but it's on the tip of my tongue right there. at
Where's
the very
Missy?
end.
Where's Missy?
I think this one.
She stayed pretty close by. She used to come to our house a lot, remember?
Yeah,
Well, they probably put her where they wanted her, but she spent a lot of time with you.
Sally. Yeah, all my little friends from Stella Morris Academy in La Jolla, California.
You had a good time there. Well, there's Mother, and I'm not sure where that was.
In front of the bougainvillea
It was a
bush.
bougainvillea. Fred must have taken it someplace on one of their trips.
It's beautiful.
See,
Oh,
Mom,
it says Palm Desert.
Palm Desert, and Mother wore her hair, and it was so long she could double braid it around
All right.
bring it around the top.
Who are these funny looking people?
Well, we went to
Tijuana.
Tijuana one day,
In
and this is my
1960.
brother Gail,
Oh, yes.
and his wife Vera, and their son Larry, and me,
And me
and you.
on Kiss Me.
And they had the donkeys on the street, and they
Yep,
wanted
yep,
their
yep.
picture taken with it. So we just made that much of a trip to
And here again, we've moved to La Jolla,
No.
La
Okay.
Jolla,
California. And Grandma and Grandpa have come to visit us
Visit
again. Now that we've moved
Looking,
there.
what's it say for the date on the side?
July 1960.
60.
Yeah, 1960.
So we've just moved there.
Yeah,
pretty
we moved
much.
down in 59.
We moved in 59. We lived in a rental at first until we bought the house.
Right, we lived in a rental. That's right.
And this was taken out on the back patio, I think. And there's a dog,
This was Andy.
Andy, out on the back porch,
Sitting
sleeping on the chaise
on the
lounge.
chaise lounge. I'm sure he wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah,
So this could be like a
that's in front.
not a first communion, just a regular Sunday outfit.
Yeah, it was Sunday, I guess.
Because this is the first communion outfit.
First communion. They came out for your first communion.
Look at this camera you're holding here, Dad.
Yeah, he's always
He's got that camera.
the cameras. And there we
Grandma
are
and
on the front porch, which we never used. We used this back entrance all the time. Remember
Right.
the back patio?
Gail holding Andy and
Andy.
Shelley, Grandma and Grandpa. And this is, this was outside of the wall of the back. And now we're driving a what?
That's the Ford ranch wagon.
Ford ranch wagon.
Ford ranch wagon.
Green.
In 1960.
Green.
Yes, that's right. It was
Yeah.
green.
Nice car.
Yeah, I had to hold all the team, when the swim team and all that in it, so I needed room.
And here we are in front of our citrus tree, showing Grandma and Grandpa the citrus
We
tree.
had a lot of citrus trees, several. We had
It was a
oranges.
fun house. It had a little wall and a fence in the back and
It was a
a nice
fun house.
backyard.
Fun house.
Here we are. I'm obviously having a fabulous time
But
on
you know,
some trip
on
that
some
we
trip
took.
that we took
What
out
did we take
on a boat.
a ferry across to
Coronado, Daddy was
Coronado,
thinking,
I think.
because it seems to be the same time that Grandma and Grandpa were
Oh.
visiting.
We
Yeah.
I bet we did.
Yeah.
Coronado.
And
that's
obviously, I was really
It was the
excited
same
about
June.
going. July
Sure,
1960.
that's the same time that
Yeah.
they were here.
Yeah.
Oh, we
that's
took a ferry,
yeah,
because
we
the
were taking
ferries were still running then.
Yeah.
Right.
They didn't have the bridges built. And then we
then
went to Tahoe
we went to Lake
again.
Tahoe again, one of our favorite
Oh,
places to go.
Dad took a boat this time, behind the trailer.
And Mom made us little
Yeah,
terry cloth tops.
That's the time I made the shirts one day, and I hurried to get them off the table, and I sewed them, and they turned out to be skirts, and I had to do them over. I used to make all their shorts and just simple
One of the
things.
mechanics named Whitey loaned us the boat.
Right. And to top it all off, we took
rented
a
a trailer,
Rented a trailer.
and it
and I'm sort of thinking
well,
this
I'll
might
tell
have
the
been the
story I
time
bought up in Bishop
uh-huh.
when we stopped at the service
we
station.
did. We stopped at the service station, and
And
Gail
left
and
them.
Shelley and I were riding in the trailer, and we decided to get out and go and get some water and go to the bathroom.
That's right.
And we must have shut the door, so it appeared like we were in
Well,
there.
we thought that you were already in the trailer, so
Dad
we
took
took
off.
off and started driving.
And
And
drove
all of a sudden,
quite a ways.
we went out about 3 or 4
Well,
miles, and all
I
of a sudden
said
your
to
mother
Dad,
said, "We better look
"You
and
know,"
see."
And Dad says, "Oh, the kids are in there." And I said, "Look, Jack, I don't see any heads, any motion. Please stop." It took him quite a while, and he said, "Oh, all right, we'll stop." And there it got back, sure enough, empty.
And
So they
did we
went,
get
"Turn around,"
dressed
and
down by Shelley?
I was just going to say, I know somebody was upset.
Oh,
it was
Shelley. She said,
that was funny.
"Think you left us. I didn't have we didn't have cell phones then. They didn't have telephone or anything. They were abandoning our children in Bishop, California."
I remember that. I
We
remember
went about
standing out there.
20
I had like
miles
the
or
little,
something.
the little.
We stayed up at Meeks
water.
Bay.
We were on our way to Tahoe.
Here we
There
are,
we are in that
outside
trailer.
the trailer.
And it tilted, and the water would spill all over in the cupboards. It was a riot. We never got it level. If you slept in the bed, you
It tilted the other way.
tilted the other way, and then the kids wanted to sleep outside in sleeping bags. And Gail got
Oh,
upside
yeah.
down in a
That's-
sleeping bag, and I heard this funny little sound in the middle of the night, like a little puppy. And I said, "Jack, something's wrong." He said, "Oh, that's just the cat or something." And I went out there, and there was Gail upside down trying to get out the bottom of the sleeping, scared to death. She was upside down.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And when was this? We went to visit. Obviously, we or you at least went to visit.
You No, I guess it was.
We
I
went back to
I went there.
You
we
must
went-
have gone by
Yeah.
yourself because I don't see any pictures of us.
went back to Trip
Trip.
to
and
see
that-
his folks.
And then there's the Hogans in it.
Right.
Oh no, the Muirs.
Muirs. No, this
Yeah.
is
Muirs
from
in
the
it.
left.
Yeah.
And Aunt Jane is sitting in
Yeah.
a chair with Uncle John and Susan, probably.
Susan. Mm-hmm.
And this must be Jack
Yeah.
Because there's David.
sitting in
David.
front of Grandma
Yeah.
and
And
Grandpa,
Grandma.
and then Daddy and
and
Aunt
Aunt
Laura,
Laura.
Laura.
and then probably David.
David. Yeah.
David
sitting
over
right there. Those
Yeah.
are my cousins.
Yeah.
Those three people
They're
are my
the
cousins.
Muirs from Rock Springs, Wyoming.
That's where they're from.
Yeah.
They
I
lived-
thought they
At
lived in
that
Denver.
time. No, they
At that
moved
time.
to Denver later.
I see.
And there they are again. The
So
whole
this is
family.
the Martin
The Martin
family.
family.
Mom and Dad.
at the
Jane,
Martin
Al,
home.
Laura, and Jack.
Yeah.
And this is
16
when
more minutes.
Well, this is Grandma Martin, the last day as postmistress
Postmistress.
in Trip. That's when
In
she
Trip.
retired. That's taken at the post office window from inside the post office
That's great.
business section.
Here's Shelley. It looks like she was graduating from La Jolla High in 1968. That's what we have here. That's what we're guessing anyway from
Yeah.
this picture. Little outfit. Here I am in something that obviously Mother made for me, which was a
Well, it
tap
was
dancing outfit
Tap dancing. Some
Yeah.
kind of a, you were in something.
That's taken in
in
the
La Jolla in the
in
back.
La Jolla
back-
in the back of the
backyard.
house, which was a very pleasant area.
And this is when my mother died, and I went back. Dad had gone back to his father's funeral,
Right, because he
and
died.
then Mother died. So
As
I
I
went
was
back.
getting ready to leave for California, we got a call. I had been to Dad's funeral. We got a call, and your mom said, "Stay there. My mother just died, and we're returning her to Atlantic, Iowa."
Right,
to bury her."
because she died
Yeah,
in La Jolla.
in February. Yeah, died in La Jolla.
Right.
So that's my brother Elton, my
Right.
oldest brother. That's my other brother, Gail.
And this is Fred.
Fred
And Fred
Shell.
Shell.
Fred
Mother
Shell.
married Fred Shell, was only married a year. They were on their way to Hawaii when Mother died.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they were going to end up in Hawaii.
Oh, my
Mother never
goodness.
made it.
Interesting.
He wanted to take her to Hawaii. She'd never been here.
Wow. What a
And there's in front of our house.
And Hawaii, it would have just been either just become a state or was just ready to become
Yeah,
a
it
state
would have
in
been gorgeous.
1960.
Yeah, Fred wanted to show her Hawaii, so they were on their way. So they came to La Jolla and stayed in Pacific Beach.
Pacific Beach. Mhm.
Yeah, and there you are at Grandma's house.
Now this
Now
is a
this is-
trip that Daddy and I took together
You and Daddy.
on an airplane
Yeah,
to visit South Dakota.
right. To visit Grandma
And
Martin.
the more memorable part of that trip was the airplane ride where it dropped in altitude and all of the drinks.
Coke.
Went up, just
What-
stayed suspended in the air.
The liquid stayed suspended in the air,
Yeah.
remember?
And then all over you when
And
it
then
came
all
down
over all of us when
Yeah.
it came
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
So there we are standing outside of Grandma Martin's
on the
house.
front porch.
Right.
And
And
there
then-
we're out standing in front of the Mears car. They had come to visit
Susan and David, it looks like.
Susan
And Jack way in the background.
yeah, and that's you on the left, and that's
Right.
the other person.
You.
That's our.
And this
that's
is your
our
house.
In Atlantic
607
Iowa.
West 10th Street.
Right. in
That's when
Atlantic, Iowa.
From the kindergarten. We bought it when I was in kindergarten. Went clear on through all through high school. They still lived there until Mother died, and of course that was the end of their living there.
Right.
All that time.
Let's see. Here we are back
Trip.
in Trip with around the table with the family. Pretty much Jack. Can't quite see too many people.
Yeah.
David way in the back. Susan over on the left.
That's Jack.
This is Jack.
Yeah.
David in front of him. Excuse me. And in front of him, Grandpa
Grandpa Martin.
and Grandma Martin. No, I'm sorry. This is.
Looks like your sister,
Aunt Hilda.
Aunt Hilda.
Looks like Aunt Hilda.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is
Hilda.
Grandma Martin.
Grandma
Yeah.
Martin. This
No, but
must-
now this can't be your father though because he'd already passed
No,
away.
that's
No.
Uncle. That's your uncle,
Uncle Bill.
Uncle Bill.
Bill
Uncle
Hogan.
Bill. There you go.
And that's Susan there, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's Susan.
Yeah. Susan.
And this is probably Aunt Jane's back
yeah,
right here
Aunt
too.
Jane's back.
That is.
Oh.
Okay, this is Andy when we took him to
Disneyland.
Disneyland because I won a competition for Calcan dog food where I dressed him up and put a surfboard on his back, dressed him up as a surfer, and I won the trip to Disneyland for us. And this is him sitting in the kennel at Disneyland. That's as much of Disneyland as he got to see. We had fun though.
And there's a teepee when we went north. We went to Canada. We were in
It was in 1962.
on our way. Gail wanted to. Well, I don't know. We went to Canada.
Well, we decided we wanted to go up to see Vancouver,
We saw Vancouver,
and then to go over to Vancouver Island.
and on the way up, there was a park with a teepee. There's your teepee.
Right, there's the teepee.
See the same ties that you like.
And what I remember about this trip was
Then went over to the lake, and I took you on a side trip, and everybody was exasperated because it took some extra time. We went over to Echo Lake.
I remember a long time in the car
Yeah,
Oh,
with
along.
not too many stops.
that's
A
right.
lot of looking out the window. Here we are at the Underwood Park Chandler tree. Must be like a redwood or something we were
Redwood
driving
tree.
through. Yeah.
Oh, that's Gail.
And I think Shelley even flew home from this
she
trip.
flew home.
Yeah, that's right. She just
She didn't want to
she
see
didn't
more
fly home.
trees.
Did she fly home?
No,
She
she
took
took
the
the
bus.
ferry, and then she took.
She left Vancouver
I think
and
she
took
took
the
the
ferry,
bus,
and
and
then she took the bus home from there.
And said, "That's it. I don't want
that's
to be
it.
with
I
the
don't
rest
want
of
to
you
be with the rest of
anymore."
it. It wasn't all right. So
She went
I
home
let
to
her.
live with her dad.
Right.
And there's
Gail.
Gail with her what was his friend, that we knew in La Jolla?
Oh, Wetzel.
Wetzel.
Billy Wetzel,
Bill what?
or was that his mother's name?
Billy was his mother.
Billy was the
name.
mother.
He was Wetzel. I can't remember his. What was it?
I'll think of it.
Gail from Beale.
Bill.
Beale Wetzel.
Yeah,
His,
that was
Eddie's
Gail.
dad's name.
Beale Wetzel.
The
Yeah.
white prom dress with the gloves and tiara.
Yep.
She had the
That was a
full-
prom.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
But she wore a tiara and all that.
Go
And-
look at Gail and Shelley. Not very happy here in this picture.
No,
Not
I don't
exactly thrilled with whatever we were
we
about
were on our
to
way
be
to
doing.
church. Is what we had trouble getting you out to go to church. Everyone was reading the funny papers, And I said, well, come on, you guys, we're going to be late. We're going to be late. We're going to be late. And I tell you, I had to drag you out to church. By the time I got
I
to
hate
church,
church.
I was exhausted.
And this looks like, I guess, Shelley's graduation.
Shelley's.
Or Shelley's something, or Shelley was in choir, or Shelley was in something.
She probably was in choir. Look, I think she was in choir, don't you?
Yeah, it's kind of not.
Singing for,
Yeah. No, it does say Shelley's graduation, but I don't know if you just wrote this or.
we just wrote it.
Right.
It's kind of hard to remember all these things.
So we're guessing that this next beauteous group of people is at my 11th birthday. And Callie, no, that's not her name, Callie. I think it is Callie.
Connie Dukes.
Right. And
There's Missy.
Missy, and I can't remember that girl's name. All my friends
Oh, you always were.
Yeah,
in La Jolla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had a campfire, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
campfire.
a Girl Scout and a campfire
Yeah.
girl.
And there we are at Christmas in La Jolla.
Right.
And this was when Dad, I think, had already gone. It was right before we sold the house.
Oh, right. It would have been.
See, we had to show the
And when
house
did President
with
Kennedy was he
Christmas tree.
assassinated?
right then. Yes.
Was
Yeah.
it in November? Was it in January? What was it?
Because we moved in, in what month did we move up there? Because we went up there for,
I think we must have finished school.
yeah, we went to the Christmas vacation. See, we sold the house right before Christmas. I had the Christmas tree up and everything. And Dad was gone most of the time. He came home for Christmas. Yeah, Gail was in college.
Well, then Kennedy must have been shot in '62.
Yeah.
Oh no, he died when we lived in Seattle.
No, we were just up there to visit Dad to find a place
Oh
to
no,
live.
Stella Mars Academy. He died when I was in
Stella
I was
so
in the
this,
5th
he
grade.
had died when this
Right,
happened. When this
Right.
picture was
He had died because
Yeah.
I remember the priest coming into the room
Yeah.
to tell us that President Kennedy had been shot.
Gail was away at college then. She was
You were in
away
Mexico, stuck, trying to get back home again. So this is us
up in
outside
front
of
Mary Star of the
Mary
Sea
Star Seed Parish.
Parish on a Sunday.
Probably some Sunday going to church.
Going to church.
Looks
I
like
think-
it's at the nativity scene, so it's around Christmas
yeah,
time.
around Christmas time.
And here I am with the dog on the back
A
porch again
piñata.
and a pinata. And here's my confirmation from the church. It was a glass church in La Jolla up on the hill.
Up on the hill.
I don't remember the name of that church, but that
Kenny
was
Dupes, you
my
Missy.
confirmation.
Yeah.
And here's Daddy at work in what
his
office?
In the San Diego office.
San Diego.
district office.
Working for.
At my desk.
Okay, and this is again still in La Jolla.
Yep, still
Yeah,
in La
in
Jolla.
front of the fireplace.
Right. And here, this is our cousins.
When they came in July, they came.
Came to
Jane,
visit
Right.
Jane,
and the
Jack,
children.
Susan, and David came.
Right.
to
She was a
visit.
widow then.
and
Yeah.
me. Oh, and my Uncle John had already died.
He'd
Right.
already
Wow.
died.
Right.
And you went out, I think,
To the zoo. This is at the zoo.
to the zoo.
That was a great zoo.
And there was your moo-moo.
Just another
You
Hawaiian
must have
adventure.
Hawaiian adventure. I didn't realize it.
And then this must be Shelley
Shelley's graduation.
graduating.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gabe. And then
You
Gail
and
and
you and
I
Gail.
at something.
Well, probably we're dressed for Shelley's graduation.
Gail's graduation, but maybe Shelley's graduation.
Probably
Makes
Shelley's.
more sense. Thanks, Gabe.
Oh, and there's Dad with he cut his hair until he had no hair. And he wore those.
That was at Christmas time again.
I know
'cause there
those.
was
Well, he came.
the coralers.
He came back. He came back from Seattle to be with us before. Well, we didn't know if we were ever going to sell that house. So you came back at Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish we'd have never sold it.
Yeah,
and,
really.
and still had it.
Really. It was a great house. I remember mowing the lawn out on La Jolla
Oh, I
Boulevard.
know. Gail
Everybody drive by going,
would say,
oh!
And I remember the first time we mowed the lawn. Holy Toledo, the trouble we had getting it. And Wayne Jordan brought his lawnmower by, and he had the kind that circled like that, and it made it so much easier than the real type.
Right. So here you are,
So-
jazzing it up on some probably mobile.
Well,
Mobile
this was
party.
getting ready for some I think a mobile dealer convention at a meeting up in Seattle.
Daddy, those glasses.
I know,
I
and now,
when I
now
look
he
And
at
says,
it,
your haircut.
he says, "Oh, those glasses look so bad." He's always saying that here he wore them himself.
Okay, so here we are. Now we moved to Seattle, but we first moved. We moved to this was
a little house on Sandpoint Golf
On
Course.
Fairway Drive.
Fairway
it was
Drive.
our
Drive,
first
on the
place that we
golf
moved
course.
to.
We
Yeah,
rented,
we
and then we
rented it.
bought a house.
Right, and I went. It was in the 6th grade, and we went to. I went to View Ridge Elementary School,
Mhm.
and
Joined the campfire again. Started a campfire group
Exactly.
to meet people.
met my friend Betsy. Lots of friends. This would have been about maybe the 6th grade, maybe the beginning of the 7th
Yeah.
grade. Though it says 9th and 10th. I don't know. Difficult to say.
Well, because weren't you in the 6th grade when we came there?
Yep.
In 19, it was
Yeah.
Sixth
in
grade.
1963.
Mhm.
Yep, I was in the
Sixth
6th grade. And then here we are. This is our living room with Gail and Shelley. They've come home from college by now
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
they didn't live with us anymore,
No, they
They
were
were
in
vis- they were
college.
from-
Gail was going to Gonzaga.
right? And Shelley was going to
Davis.
Davis. And
There's
this is
Andy.
Andy the dog. He came along with us
There we are in front of the fireplace, same
Right.
house.
in
See,
Seattle,
it was Christmas time again.
right?
There you are with a
Here we are
bouffant
with some-
hairdo.
Bouffant hairdo and some unknown boy.
And he invited you to his prom. He must have been older.
Like maybe a junior prom or something,
He invited you. You weren't a junior, but he invited you to the prom.
right? Thank you, Gabriel.
There's
this is Gail's graduation
graduation
from
Gonzaga.
college,
She got her teaching credential.
right?
And
Now, this is a trip that we all took back
Atlantic.
to Trip Again in Atlantic.
Mhm.
And this is visiting, who's this one?
Omaha. This is Tommy Shepard.
Tommy Shepard. One of
Elton's son.
Your
one of my
cousin
cousins.
Mhm.
and
I think I'm in about the 9th grade by now. And here's we are at Grandma and
the
Grandpa's.
Shepherds.
Shepherd's
Gravesite
gravesite
in
in
Atlantic,
Atlantic,
Iowa.
Iowa.
Right. And now we've gone over to Trip and we're visiting Grandma and Aunt Laura,
Right.
which is a little dark. This picture you can barely
This
see
new
it.
trip.
But here's this glamorous dress that I made.
Oh yes, you made it,
You know
and
where
I
that is?
think this
That's
is
in Springfield,
this
South
is
Dakota,
Springfield, South Dakota.
where Dick
Dick
Kirby's father was born and went through high school.
That's right. One of the twins.
We went over there to
Mm-hmm.
so you would have something to show them when you got back.
and this
Kirby
is
twins.
we don't have where this is,
One
but this
minute.
is
A lake
this is some lake,
back there.
right?
Oh, that's at
It's on the way someplace.
yeah. I think that's over out near Mount Rushmore.
Look how thin you are, Mother.
Yes, I wished I were that thin
You're
again,
very thin there.
and I thought I was fat.
Looking very nice. This is another dress I made. I recognize
Mm-hmm.
this outside of Aunt Jane's house, probably in
Mhm.
Denver
In
or something.
Denver.
Right.
Mhm.
And Denver.
Here we are back in Trip
Trip.
outside, and there's our white Fairlane,
Yeah.
Ford
Fort
Fairlane,
Fairlane.
right? And there's Daddy with that skin head
Skinhead.
haircut,
And the horn rimmed
and me
glasses.
with my hair drooped down over my eye. My
Mhm.
mother's favorite hairdo of mine.
Mount
Here we are at
Rushmore
Mount Rushmore,
in western South Dakota in the Black Hills.
right? Again, another
Again,
model
we're
shop.
looking glad.
Produced and
Okay.
directed by Gabriel
Gabriel Figueroa.
Figueroa.
Figueroa. He's the producer.
That's right. Okay, so now we've sort of jumped all around on this
This
trip.
is
This is back
Elton's
with
family.
here, right?
And
You remember these children's names?
and let me see. This is Susan, and this is the young. What's the youngest boy's name now?
Oh, John.
John. And I don't know who. Really,
Which is Teresa? Is that Teresa? It's probably Teresa, isn't it?
Teresa?
Because Mary's not in that picture.
I don't think so either.
I think it's Teresa.
Yeah, Teresa.
And Susan's the one with the glasses on.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
So we're going in that direction
Yeah.
around.
Mhm.
Okay.
And John.
Cousins
the-
that I don't know very well.
In Omaha.
You know,
That's
on
the
your
time
mom's
we
side.
went,
Right.
and they stole everything out of our car in Omaha. Remember?
Oh my gosh.
We had a collection of Indian head pennies, and we
Was
had it
that-
locked in the
was
glove
that on this
compartment.
trip?
Glove compartment of the car. Yes, glove compartment of the car. and they stole it.
Well,
We never did find out.
here we are at Old Faithful Geyser
In Yellowstone.
in Yellowstone. Probably on our way there, rather than here
Right.
it is. Here it is going off.
Yes, because we came across from, we were living in Seattle and we came out over through Idaho and
Okay, so this is Grandpa at
Old
the
Faithful.
Old Faithful. And here, this must be in a Seattle office.
Seattle office.
It is.
Working for Mobil Oil. And here we are
Gail
around
came
our
home.
Gail came home for Christmas.
Christmas to visit.
Right,
From
And,
Gonzaga.
5540 Northeast 55th Street
right. In Seattle,
in
Washington.
Seattle.
That's right. And this is me in, I think, the 9th grade
Yeah, well, there's a hairdo with it.
with the
Veronica Lake.
Veronica Lake
hairdo.
dipping.
All the
hairdo.
girls wore it. That was the big thing. There's in front of the house,
Right,
and those are rhododendrons
right.
blooming and
right.
azaleas.
And azaleas.
The rhododendrons back here and the azaleas here.
This
And
house
all
is,
kinds of-
this house has since been torn down
Torn
and
down.
built up into a big 2-story
That's what I understand.
house now.
And it snowed one time, and it took a picture.
Yeah. That could
Which
have
it
been,
snowed
that
very
could have
seldom
been in
up there.
1969.
It snowed.
Oh, I remember
Took a
the time
picture.
it snowed and I tried to take Kelly back home
Cali
and wore out a
Bay.
pair of chains trying to get
Up
up
the
Queen Anne
hills.
Hill.
Right,
Snow there is a real
Yeah.
problem because you see, if
hills.
it's
It's
slippery,
hilly.
even though you have special snow tires, they won't do anything on the streets.
and I remember because there was
Yeah.
this happened more than one time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we didn't have to go to school because we couldn't get to school very easily.
No, I had a hard time getting you there. I had to go around the hills, try to find flat areas, and circle around and come back if I could find a way.
And we lived in this house till June.
December, June of
1959, didn't we?
No,
50
1960.
1969.
69.
See, and it was Christmas again because there are the candles,
Right.
see, that we had by the door.
And we moved from this house to
A little apartment.
a little apartment, and then
We
from that
stayed
little
there until
apartment,
June
Let you
of
finish
June of
school.
60.
You
And
finished the 11th grade.
Yeah.
and then we moved to Newport Beach, California.
And that was a disaster, your trip down, because you had
I had
mononucleosis.
mononucleosis.
And on the way down, we stopped in outside of Portland, Oregon, and we were just below a hill in a long traffic line, and somebody came charging down and ran into us. And the man in the car that hit us died.
Right.
Yeah.
He was. We
And
were
we
okay.
had a
but-
trailer in the back,
We
and
had
that's
the
what
trailer.
That
saved us.
saved us.
We were that's right. We were pulling the trailer, a little 6-foot trailer, loaded with what
belonging to
what belongings we hadn't shipped. And it was interesting. And you were sitting in the back seat. And when they hit the trailer, they drove the tongue of the trailer
into the back end of
into the back end of the
trunk.
car.
But
Bennett.
it was stopped by a metal bar that was
Yeah.
on
middle
there.
of
There
solid
happened to
metal
be a
bar.
solid metal bar
Yeah.
that really kept it from. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. We're now in Seattle again,
Mhm. You took a trip.
and I took a trip with my friend Holly Theodore. They took me to the what I tell you it was the Death Valley.
Death Valley.
Death Valley, and I think this is in Death Valley, and we were horseback riding in Death Valley.
That looks like Death Valley. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we were. And here is, I think this was my, my 7th grade. I think I was in the 7th grade for this birthday.
Mhm.
And Joan Bondelid, Trudy Tony, Betsy Henry, Ann Fisher. She lives here in Hawaii. Franny Ford.
Franny
Ford.
Ford, my goodness.
I should leave this
What's
out.
it? Let's see it.
Franny Ford. This is Franny Ford
Mhm.
right here.
Oh,
Franny Ford and Robin Glenn, Peggy Lane, Terry Sullivan all came over and they spent the night. We had a sleepover in my
Sleepover, and
house.
I asked permission from the neighbors. I knew you were going to make a lot of noise. They said it was perfectly all right. I said, look, they're going to be noisy.
It was fun. I think I was in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
And this is about my 7th or 8th grade school picture. I
You're
can't remember.
glamorous.
With my mother's
And this is outside of iMagnin
Yes,
in
this is
the
a-
dress you made.
I was taking modeling, and this was these two modeling pictures that they took of me when I was outside of iMagnin sitting on some car. I don't even know if we
Whose
knew
car?
whose car it
At
was.
first, it looked like the red Porsche.
But didn't you make that dress too?
Yeah, I did. I made
We
that
made
dress too. And I also made this stunning
Yes.
dress with this lovely wig
Well, you
hairdo.
didn't make all that. That was a beautiful dress. It was blue chiffon.
You made this one,
Wow, it was
if I
pretty.
remember correctly. This ruffly chiffon down the front. And this was some 8th or 9th grade
Look at the
10th
fun
grade.
hairdo.
dance I was going to. And back in Seattle, back at the house
house.
on Northeast 55th Street,
5540 Northeast 55th.
right out
Yeah.
in front of the.
There's a rhododendron.
Rhododendrons.
behind
And this was
And
another of those infamous no-name dates. This was like a
you.
junior
Another
prom
dress.
because I did make this dress
You made it. Mm-hmm.
with the little
Kind of
little
holder.
high arm cuff thing with it. And then this was somebody that Grandpa actually wasn't thinking too much of because he cut off his
Cut
head
his head off in the picture.
in the picture.
It was at Christmas time because there's a Christmas angel.
Yeah, it was a Christmas dance. Must have been a winter ball or
Are
something.
you sure? Are you sure that I cut it off, or it got cut off when you were?
No,
Somebody
no,
was
no, no.
messing
No.
You actually, I remember you cut this one off. And I can't remember what this guy's name was. I can sort of
Heaven
remember
only
him.
knows.
And this happened to be an outfit that I did make.
Yeah.
These were velvet trousers and a
Velvet
blouse. This was in our backyard in
That's
Seattle.
that tree that has the pink blossoms all over.
Right. And one boyfriend that I do remember was Jacques Motoret,
the lifeguard.
the lifeguard, the Harley Davidson driving lifeguard.
Which is he?
He's this one right here behind unfortunately somebody's
Got his
arm.
arm up.
And everybody.
And
from
these were the
Windermere.
other two lifeguards at the Windermere Beach Club, and this was some
Get together.
get together they were having.
The kids had a lot of fun down there.
It was really fun down there. Many happy times spent at the Windermere Beach Club. And here's a visit. Gail came home one Christmas, and
In a pose there you were
there,
again.
yes, really,
Model pose.
yes. This was something
It was-
you made
It was
for me.
Christmas.
Maybe I bought that one. It's that white jacket coat thing.
Was
Christmas
it
again, yeah.
a coat dress?
Coat dress.
Oh, we made that. I took sewing lessons and made it for you then.
That's right. And here's the Ford Fairlane with the black top.
Mm-hmm.
And the snow was so unusual, so we wanted to take a picture of it.
Right. And then in 1969, we moved from Seattle to Newport Beach, and that's
On
we
the
said that a little while
peninsula.
ago. And we lived on the peninsula in an apartment in the Caribe.
310
310
Fernando
Fernando. I
Fernando.
think. Was
in the Caribe.
right in
And
the
there's
Caribe.
Mary from across the street. And you had visitors.
I had Sue Mitchell who came down
Sue
from
Mitchell.
Seattle to visit me. So this was probably the first summer when I moved. I think she probably came right
Yeah.
down and visited. So I was a junior going to be a senior. And then this,
That's Dad and I went to a convention. And
Now
they-
this was in Los
Los
Angeles
Angeles.
at the Century Plaza Hotel.
Central Plaza Hotel
Mobile had a party.
had a party,
Christmas
invited us
party.
down, Christmas party, and so they flew us down, have
Yeah.
you know, in the private plane.
fun.
We flew in that slow plane all the way down to Seattle.
And
Went to visit Libby
Libby in La Mirada.
at on the same trip. We were living in Seattle at the time. There's that red wool suit I had.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that is a wedding. That was in La Cañada, and that was
Daryl
the Petrie's
Petrie's
son, Daryl.
And the Petries were people that lived.
But this is Bondelid.
Oh, Bondwoods.
That's Mr. and Mrs. Bondelid.
Oh, Jones.
Petrie's lived in
John's
Seattle.
Right.
We lived in Seattle.
And here's my graduation from
Harbor High School.
Harbor High School, of which I can unfortunately remember no one but my boyfriend, Rob
No.
Merlino.
Really not.
Very unfriendly kids, weren't they?
Yeah. It was
You were
not
a
a
newcomer.
not exactly a happy time. This is my senior prom dress that I made,
Uh-huh.
and outside of our apartment.
And there's some of the things. We liked the teachers at the high school, though. You had a ceramics teacher
Right,
that
and I
liked you,
made-
and I think you took chemistry or something in the teachers. You really liked the teachers.
Right, and an English teacher I remember
And
was
the
good.
English teacher were nice to you.
You had
And
a
here's-
French teacher.
Yeah, but that was in Seattle.
That
Oh,
was
that was
Seattle. The
This
French
is for
teacher.
Borney.
She
She was
didn't like.
less than good.
And there's the kids you used to pal around with all the time.
Right.
No.
Across the street.
Your mom didn't know your dad, did you?
Mary-
Right, no, I was too young. This is me,
Oh.
and this was my boyfriend. His name was Rob.
Oh.
And he was a stranger too.
Yeah, he was new to the school.
He was new to the
Both of us
school.
were new. We just glommed onto each other. This was across the street at their apartment, getting ready to go out for the senior prom. Someplace in Long Beach, we had our
He
senior
was an
prom.
Italian boy. That family was going to snag you as his bride.
Right. Nope. And then
Shelley.
this is Shelley
She
coming to
came
visit, and Mom and Dad out on the patio at the Carib. And here's my graduation
From Harbor High.
from Harbor High. Here I am
There's
in my
row.
cap and gown.
Look at her long hair.
with my
And you can see
long
the
hair.
view of the bay and all the yachts out there. See?
Yeah,
That's Newport Harbor.
June 1970.
That is.
You're in the living room.
Yep,
in
here
your
in the
gown.
living room. Here we are. We're visiting somebody. This was somebody else's house. I don't remember whose. We went down the street to visit somebody. I remember that outfit. And this was the next day after we went to an all-night party for the graduation at Disneyland. They opened up Disneyland, and several high schools went to and spent the whole night going on the rides at Disneyland, which was really fun because nobody else was there. So we got to go on the rides over and over and over again.
Or you could go in as many as you could get on.
Exactly. And this, we're not exactly sure when this was, but we think it's sometime around 1970, 71. This is Grandma Martin,
Her sister.
her sister, and her other sister, right?
The three sisters decided they'd get together once, so they went back to Trip. That's taken in Trip, isn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
In the living room Trip, and that's Hilda and Laura.
Hilda's on the far, no,
Hilda's
Hilda's in
in
the
the
middle,
middle.
and Laura's on the far
Yeah.
left.
They
Hilda
decided,
lived in Yankton. Her name was Hilda Hogan.
This is
and Laura Malloy and Margaret Martin.
right. And this is a very typical picture of
Dad.
of Jack Martin reclined on the floor, sleeping,
And
taking
we
a
were-
nap.
We were visiting Eileen, I think.
No, that's it. They were visiting us.
Yeah,
We
you
were
were,
visiting you.
you were taking it
Dad
probably after a big dinner.
taking a nap.
Who's that?
That's Grandpa.
Yes,
the other one.
This person
Mrs.
here, this is my friend's
Betsy's mother.
Mrs. Kirby.
Nice lady.
I got to go back up to visit my friend Betsy in the wintertime after I'd left Seattle. And I went up to stay for Christmas time, and they took me skiing. This was at a condominium up at Crystal Mountain. Here we are skiing, which is what Betsy and I did a lot of
Love
all
skiing.
through our lives in Seattle. We would tie our ski poles together and twirl down the hill and make everybody mad at us, disrupt everybody else's skiing. And this was somebody's boyfriend, and this is Dick, and
Dick Kirby.
Betsy's sister Sally. And this was Betsy's house in Seattle,
On Lake Washington.
the back of their house.
In Laurelhurst.
And they had a huge rope swing
Mm-hmm.
that went off one of these balconies, this one right here, and you swung down way out on this rope swing.
You spent a lot of time
And
there.
who's that skiing right there?
That's
That's
your
your mom.
mother skiing.
That's you.
That's
Yes,
me.
that's his
Cool.
mother.
Real
skiing.
cool, wasn't it?
There
Look, and
she
here's
is,
your mother racing.
racing. She was in a race.
Mom!
Really?
Did you win?
No, I doubt it. This is a picture of Betsy.
Nice girl.
This is a picture of Dick, her husband, when they were younger, getting ready to go to college. And here we are all skiing up in Crystal Mountain and playing games, which we love to do, sitting
Played a
around
lot of games.
playing a lot of games and probably watching some football game on the television. And here we are back in Newport Beach. This is, actually I think this is Laguna Beach, and this is me and Rob and Mom out doing something shortly after we graduated. And then we went up for some ski trip.
Bryce, we went to Bryce National Park.
Bryce National, do we think that's where
Was
this
a Bryce
is?
ski area, yes. We went through Las Vegas, remember, and went up to Bryce.
Or that's where Dad put the dime in the slot machine and
On the way back in
couple
Las
$100.
Vegas. Oh, yeah, that's right.
This is my graduation
We went to
picture.
Las Vegas.
Grandpa and Mom and
Well,
Grandma.
we
and
stopped.
I.
We stopped on
We
the way
stopped
home.
on the way back from a ski trip.
Cool.
And Grandpa put a dime in the
Put a
slot
dime
machine.
in and won $110.
Right.
Oh,
Oh,
100.
and this was in,
This was in Seattle.
are
Some,
you sure? It
Oh,
looks
yeah.
like Fernando, doesn't it?
no, I'm sorry, Seattle. This is Newport Beach. This is Fernando.
Newport. And
Fernando.
Fernando.
And here's
Charles Kimball.
Charles Kimball. We used to always go
Manhattan
visit
Beach.
them in Manhattan Beach, and they had little what are those dogs called? They had
Chihuahuas.
Oh, no,
they
they
had
Sheepdogs?
they're the kind of dogs that are on I can't remember.
Charles used to make a special fudge for you.
Yeah,
Always that See's candy recipe.
and lots
He
of
had-
good food.
And lots of good fried chicken.
And
There's
this is
Eileen.
Eileen.
Charles, I think Charles back. Mom sitting there in the little house.
We had a good time. Always when we would visit them.
That was Shelley.
This is Shelley and Mom on the ferry,
Ferry.
going across
Ferry boat.
from Balboa to Newport Peninsula. Shelley visiting. This is on Newport Peninsula, and
Yeah.
probably in front of the little gift shop that I
Where
worked
you
at.
worked.
My
Mhm.
first job. Actually, not my first job. I had a job being a trim twist girl in Seattle
Oh, that's
at
right.
Sears and I Magnin, demonstrating the trim twist.
It was funny.
And this was my job as a sales clerk in a novelty store.
And Gail
This is
came
Gail and
to,
Dad
came to visit.
coming to visit, or Gail coming to visit us someplace.
In, I don't know, I guess she must have come to Newport, did she?
Yeah, and Shelley coming to visit. Oh, it says Dad and Gail in Spokane. You suppose? Gail still lived in
Oh,
Spokane.
we went up to see her.
Right. This is Shelley visiting. Oh, this is a great one. So there you are. You've gone back to college, and you've graduated with your bachelor's degree from Cal State Fullerton. And then after Roberlino, I went on to UC Irvine, and at a ski trip, met Jim Blower. This is a picture of him when I met him. He was like a fabulous skier, and he bumped into a tree and fell into the hole in the snow right around the tree. Couldn't get himself out. He was stuck in there. This is a picture of him outside of his house on Balboa
Balboa
Island,
Island.
where he lived with a couple of guys, Wayne Wessling and a couple of other guys.
You were head of the ski. You were president of the ski group or something, weren't you?
Yeah, but this is where we were playing softball, and this was our softball team. We had a pretty good softball team, co-ed softball team. And here we are. We must have been
Vistings.
visiting at
In
the
Fernando.
apartment on Fernando. We used to go scuba diving and all sorts of stuff together.
Because that's what you see. You see
On
the
Christmas
railing.
trip. Yep.
You see the boats.
Here he was standing in front of somebody's.
I was wondering if that was at the car
You
wash
thought it
there.
was at the car wash.
Oh, it might have been at a
On
car wash. I'm just
17th
thinking
Street.
it was in front of somebody's
It
garage,
could be.
and he was joking
Leaning
around.
on some big car.
Yeah, acted like he might own it. And he went on a cross country trip with two of his friends, and this was the trip they went on. And they were, I don't know, someplace out in the middle of wherever. They drove all the way across the country. I know that. Here's a picture of him driving. This is Wayne Wessling, and they decided they'd all grow beards. And Jim didn't do quite as well as Wayne, though.
Wayne had a lot of hair.
Wayne looks like Abraham Lincoln. And they drove. I guess they drove in a motorhome. I didn't remember that, but yeah, they
Wayne.
drove in a motorhome.
That's his Wayne
And then
Wesson.
he got married.
married.
So
in
we went to
Laguna.
his wedding. This was us at his wedding in our kind of back then hippie sort of garb, upper empire waist dress.
Yeah, they
long
were
hair.
married on the beach. You know, on a park overlooking the
That's right, overlooking the beach,
ocean.
right in Laguna Beach. And here's the real Anne and Jack Martin.
I think we went to a party at
Right,
the Balboa Bay Club dressed as Fanny Farkle and Fred Farkle.
right.
Won the prize, won a bottle of champagne. No one knew us when we walked in, who we were.
That's too good. The real Ann and Jack
The
Martin.
real Anna Jack Martin.
And then this was our first apartment. Jim and I had an apartment in Pacific Beach
Pacific Beach, you know.
when we were going to San Diego State University, and this was our first apartment and all our little things we collected to make up a little apartment down there.
Beanbag chair.
Beanbag chair. It was like the high class decorating, and we still have this trunk sitting right across
Still
from
have
us.
Well,
Sitting
you
right
know,
there.
do you know who originally made that? Johnny in San Francisco, but you covered it with the leather.
Right. It was
I don't
my.
think
It was covered in
It was a
vinyl. It
toy
was my
chest. It was a
original
toy
toy
chest.
chest
It was a toy chest.
from when I was a kid.
He made it for you.
And here we are. Well, it has to be your house, and it looks like it's your house on 72. I think you've
In
moved out of the
Dover?
crib onto Dover.
Yeah, we lived in the
Dover.
crib from 69 to 73. 4 years. we
Oh,
lived there.
73?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then this must be it too, but it doesn't look like it too much.
Is there, can you see the,
Doesn't that look like it's someplace else?
Because this is still down in Fernando.
This is Fernando?
This is
well,
Eileen.
this is the picture. This is the
Right,
Civil War
Civil
picture.
War. I know,
Well,
but
what house do you think that is?
That's in Fernando.
Fernando?
Fernando.
Okay.
And here's another Fernando with Eileen Kimball and her friend Helen. Remember? Girlfriend
Right.
came to visit one day, and we had down to dinner.
Right. You still have all this same furniture too.
Let's see.
Yeah, I know. I've got the same. What do you mean? You want me to change?
Can you see? Can you read the?
Yeah, it's April
1972.
72.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this is back at that apartment again, and this got a little out of
And look
order.
at what you were doing.
I was doing
Not
macrame
Macrame.
and refinishing furniture that I found in one of Jim's grandpa's attics.
Is this the grandma, the chair that we have yet, the rocker?
Yep,
Is that the
exactly.
rocker?
Yep, that I refinished, and he made this coffee table.
Mhm.
And then here you are
With my
visiting.
brother. I went to visit my brothers, and we're at Colorado Springs at that hotel, a famous hotel in Colorado Springs.
Biltmore.
Biltmore.
Oh, Biltmore. I don't think I went
That's
with
with
you on
Gail.
that.
No, nobody went. I went by myself.
And this is your brother.
Gail,
This
and
is
this
your
is my
brother.
brother.
And this is his wife.
Gripper.
Vera Shepherd. She's still alive.
And this is you two brothers.
Two brothers. And neither one of them are alive anymore.
Right.
Just their wives.
And then after we were in college, got married and moved up to Big Bear.
Big Bear. And there's your house in Big Bear.
And we lived in an apartment at first on Summit Drive, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then in the meantime, we built a small cabin-like house, and this was the house that we built. This was the fireplace, and this was Jim's mom, and then my mom, and then Jim's dad looking in the fireplace. And then,
This is a visit to Dover.
yeah, we came down and we
Dover
visited
Street. Well, Gail came from Spokane.
with her then husband.
She had been visiting you in San Diego.
Right,
And then you all drove up, and that's
Frank.
Frank.
Frank. That was his name,
Frank. That was on Dover.
Right. And this is Grandpa's in the house on Big Bear.
And your dog,
with my
Brandy.
dog Brandy.
That old stove.
And this
Remember the
old
antique
stove that I refinished, pulled out from a rotted, rusty old thing and refinished it.
And put plants all over it. The
Yeah.
planting. It was fun.
And then this is Shelley
In
back
Cleveland.
in her
In Cleveland.
in Cleveland, back in her jumping out of airplane days.
For skydiving.
It was
She's been doing
skydiving
Her
with
plane-
all her skydiving gear.
Yeah, she had her own parachute and everything.
And then here we had gone to a funeral for Eileen's son. He was killed in a car accident. So here we all are gathered around. And who do we have here? Do you recognize who these people are?
Yeah.
Well, this is
This is
you
me.
with the wind
Yeah.
blowing.
Yeah.
And this is,
The next one is
who is
Well,
this?
this
Which
is
one of the
this
Schliessmans?
is Gene.
one of her brothers.
Gene
This is-
Schliessman,
This is Jack, Don, and this
Jim.
is and this is Jean, I think.
So next to
can't
me is
see.
Jean, and
And
then
now, none of those,
Don, and then
Don,
Jack's on the
okay.
far end.
only Don is living.
And
No,
those
Jack's
No,
alive.
Jack, I'm sorry, Don Jack is still alive.
and these were Eileen's brothers.
Eileen's
Yes, Eileen's brothers.
Eileen Kimball's brother.
Right.
And then when his,
Then this is back when
Steve's wedding
Jim's brother got married, and we were all gathered together
at
for
the Mission Inn.
Mission Inn,
No, at the Mission Inn. Wow.
Mission
Mission
Inn
Inn
in
in
Riverside.
Riverside.
Boy, you remember that? I didn't remember
Mission Inn,
that. Yeah, for Steve's wedding.
Mhm.
Steve's wedding, Helen.
Ellen and Bob Glauer and some other people we don't know
Yeah,
who
I
they
don't
were.
know who they were.
And Mom in her little pink dress there.
Yeah,
Two
it was
pieces. Here I am in another dress I made
And you, at the wedding, at their
at the
wedding,
wedding.
at the Mission Inn,
Jim.
there we are again.
Here's our house, another view of our house. This was our fireplace, and Jim made stained glass windows, so that's one of the stained glass windows he
Mhm.
made.
They had high ceilings, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like
What had a loft?
had a loft.
And here's going up to
Going
the stairway,
upstairs to the
going up
loft,
to
and
the
then
loft.
another long macrame that I made.
It was funny.
Here we all are around the dinner table, so it's Mom, and then followed by Steve, and then me, and then Jim, and then Jim's grandma and grandpa.
Yeah,
Grandpa
that
and
was
grandma.
Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, grandma and grandpa Blauer.
Flower. They're no longer living.
And here's the front of the house in one of our snowstorms.
A-frame.
A-frame house. And then Jim and his brother had a little business. They rented toboggans and inner tubes, and later developed it
It's
into
huge now.
a huge. That's right, developed into a large business where they have ski rentals and
We sell a lot of clothing,
clothing, many different shops.
snowboards.
Yeah.
Big invoice. And
This is when Grandma and Grandpa went on a trip to Canada. And this is, we don't know where, someplace in Canada.
well, we went to Victoria and Vancouver, so we're not quite sure.
I can't place that.
Good picture of you.
Yeah, that is. I wished I were that thin again.
Slim and slender. And then a picture of Shelley. And this is, I
Yeah.
think, when she lived in,
Probably Cleveland, don't you think?
oh, you think Cleveland? I was going to say maybe,
Or maybe
Boulder Creek.
Boulder Creek. I guess Boulder Creek.
yeah, I was going to say Boulder
That's
Creek.
right. She was into photography.
Right. I think she lived in Boulder
I think
Creek.
Joan probably took it over.
Okay, Gabe.
Peg of my heart, I love you. Don't let us part. I love you. I always knew it would be you. Since I heard your lilting laughter, it's your Irish heart I'm after. Peg of my heart, your glances make my heart say, how's chances? Come be my own. Come make your home in my heart. Peg of my heart, peg of my heart, I love you. Oh, we'll never part, 'cause I love you.